Welcome to the Persistence Pays podcast. I'm Sean Taylor with my co-host, Joe Shaw, and author of the book, Persistence Pays. Today we're talking about something every entrepreneur understands, even if they don't always say it out loud. The hustle, the grind, the long days, the tight cash flow, the pressure to produce when no one sees the sacrifice. If you're building something from the ground up, if you're carrying responsibility that most people don't see, if you're determined not just to survive, but to scale, this conversation is for you. I just want to kind of bring us back to when we initially were, conceiving the idea of a podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember that, man.
We were kind of coming up with different ideas.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the titles we thought of was "Hustle for Results."
Yeah.
And it was like, we don't want people to necessarily associate it with hustling, and from the negative sense of the word, right? Yeah. And so we ultimately land with persistence pays, right? And so let's go into
because you gotta hustle.
Exactly, you do have to hustle.
We talk about hustling the legal way.
Exactly.
And so I think what we're talking about is discipline.
Exactly.
A disciplined way to do things. A lot of times when people are hustling, they just like, I'm just doing everything.
Exactly.
I remember it was one of the sitcoms, I don't know if it was Martin or whatever, but the guy, he opened his trench coat, he had all the business cards, Lenny, I got everything you need, So we're not talking about that kind of hustle.
No.
But some people do it.
Yeah.
And they do well. When it comes about hustle and the grind, I think we're talking about intentionality.
Yeah. Sense of
urgency, discipline. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of questions I wanted to just kind of throw out here for us to talk about. What habits kept you consistent when motivation failed?
Taking action, being intentional about taking action, right? Like, don't get so caught up into, the problems that you lose sight of what the goal is, right? So if I'm looking at, what habits I've formed over the years, it's to stay solution driven. Like under what conditions can I be successful? So a lot of times it's easy to get caught up into the mindset of, well, I would do better if I had X, Y, Z, right? Ideal state is always better, right? But you don't always get ideal state, right?
Absolutely.
So I've always adopted the philosophy of under what conditions can I be successful? So that means based on what resources I have available to me right now, what's the most I can do with that?
Right.
And so that's what I gear my mind towards when motivation starts to fail, and I'm like, man, this just seems overwhelming. It's like, well, what's the best way to eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. Yeah. So what's the best I can do with what I have available to me right now?
And I think one of the things, there's a saying, I know a lot of old sayings, and there's one old saying that says, act better than you feel.
There you go.
And a lot of times you don't feel like doing the stuff that really needs to be done.
There you go.
Whether you're a parent, whether you're a civic leader, whether you have any responsibility, you're not always going to feel like doing it.
No.
So sometimes you're just going to have to act better than you feel.
There you go.
And that takes intentional discipline. And when you have a system or a process, you can figure out quickly what you need to do to get back on track. But if you don't, if everything's haphazard, there's no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 way to do it.
Yeah.
Then you don't even know where you missed the step, where you missed the mark.
Well, before we go to the next one, I want to make a point too. What I find, especially in business, a lot of times people get so caught up into who's to blame for why something went wrong that the solution walks right past them. You know what I'm saying? Solution sitting right in their face the whole time. But they more concerned with, well, who's to blame for how this happened? So one of the things I've adopted from a leadership perspective that's very effective for solution-driven mindset is when something goes wrong on my team, it's like, blame me, okay? I should have foreseen this was going to occur. So blame me. Now we got the blame out the way.
Right.
How do we fix this?
Right.
Now after it's fixed, we can do a deeper dive into how this happened, and we can identify who did what or didn't happen so that we can prevent it from happening in the future. But as of right now, the immediate need is solving the problem.
Right. And what we call that, we call that competency.
There you go.
There's a definition in safety, particularly when it comes to OSHA. There's an OSHA definition that says the competent person. Mm-hmm. Who is the competent person?
There you go.
From a safety standpoint, the competent person is the person that can recognize the hazard, can foresee something that might happen, hadn't happened yet.
Yep.
But you can foresee if we keep going in this ditch and we don't get no trench box and we going deeper and deeper, something can cave in on us.
Exactly.
Okay, you can recognize it, you can foresee it, but then you have the authority to correct it. So in that scenario where you're talking about, something went wrong, if you're the manager, blame me. Because I should either seen it
There you go.
or brought somebody in here to help me analyze it to figure out what could happen.
Yep.
And then I'm the person that should have stopped it.
Exactly.
I shouldn't have let it go on. I should have said, hey, we're going down the wrong path. Y'all getting personal with this. We don't need to be personal. We're trying to find out what happened. How do we keep it from happening again? We're not trying to point fingers
There you go.
or blame anybody.
There you go.
If you want to blame somebody, blame me.
There you go.
And so I think that's a really good strategy. But in order for managers to do that, Sean, they have to be willing to be humble.
Exactly.
And man, when pride gets in the way,
oh man, pride can ruin a lot.
You know, the Bible talks about that. It's like, pride goes before a fall.
There you go.
And so a lot of times people getting up, you say, man, you was prideful, wasn't you? You know, they told you not to come in here like that. Look what happened to you. So yeah, you're right, man. And, you know, when we start playing the blame game. And that's not only in work, but in relationships.
It's bigger in relationships than it is on the job.
Playing the blame game. In relationships, we call it going to the slop bucket. Slinging slop on it. Well, you did this. Well, you did this. And, well, yeah, but are you getting anything accomplished?
Exactly.
You're just slinging slop.
Exactly.
And when you start doing that on these jobs, you're going to get fired.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're going to get fired. As we close today's conversation, I want to leave you with one final thought from Persistence Pays. It's about faith-driven leadership. Persistence is not simply refusing to quit. It's learning to move forward with faith, discipline, humility, and purpose. We hear a lot about the hustle and the grind, but hustle without direction creates confusion. Grinding without a plan creates exhaustion. Hard work without wisdom can keep you busy without moving you closer to your purpose. The kind of persistence we're talking about is different. It is intentional, it follows a process, it learns from mistakes, it measures progress, and it trusts God to guide the journey. There will be days when motivation disappears. You'll face setbacks, unexpected challenges, limited resources, and moments when quitting seems easier than continuing. Those are the moments when faith and discipline becomes more important than feelings. Sometimes you simply have to act better than you feel. You may not feel confident, but you can still prepare. You may not have everything you want, but you can faithfully use what God has already placed in your hands. Persistence doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. It asks, what can I do today with what God has given me? That same mindset applies to leadership. When problems arise, weak leaders look for someone to blame. Strong leaders accept responsibility and focus on finding solutions. Blame may identify the problem. Leadership creates the solution. That's why humility is so important. Pride says, I already know it. Humility says, Lord, teach me. Show me what I need to see. The greatest leaders are not those who know everything. They're the ones who never stop learning. They're willing to listen. They're willing to grow. They're willing to admit mistakes. And they're willing to serve others before serving themselves. Competency isn't just having knowledge. It's recognizing hazards before they become disasters. It's making wise decisions before problems become crises. It's having both the authority and the courage to do what's right. But competency without humility can become arrogance. That's why Jesus taught that true greatness is found in serving others. Real leadership isn't about titles. It's about stewardship. It's about protecting people, developing people, and leaving things better than you found them. Throughout my own journey, I've learned that persistence alone isn't enough. Persistence must be guided by faith. Hard work must be supported by discipline. Knowledge must be balanced by humility. And leadership must always focus on solutions instead of blame. So wherever you are today, stay faithful when the road is uncertain. Stay disciplined when motivation fades. Stay humble enough to keep learning. Take responsibility instead of making excuses. Lead by serving others. And trust that God is working even when you can't yet see the outcome. When you work for God's approval instead of man's applause, your purpose becomes clearer, your perseverance becomes stronger, and your success becomes more meaningful. I'm Joe Shaw. Thank you for joining us on Persistence Pays podcast. Remember, faith gives persistence its foundation, discipline gives it direction, humility gives it wisdom, and integrity gives it influence. When those qualities come together, persistence becomes more than success. It becomes significance. And that's why persistence pays.